Hi everyone, this is Jim Wang with another edition of the Bargaineering Videocast, and you might notice a little change of scenery. I'm downstairs in the dining room rather than upstairs in the office because it's getting really way too hot up there to do any real work. And today we wanted to do some real work, and I wanted to talk to you about budgeting. Specifically, I wanted to talk to you about a very simple concept for budgeting. It's known as envelope budgeting. It's great if you really don't like carrying around a notebook and writing down every last expense that you have. It really throws that out the window and it goes a little more simplistic of an approach. But it's still very powerful and a lot of people use it with great success. Now I'm really a numbers type of guy, so I actually don't mind writing down expenses to the penny. But if it's something that you know will prevent you from budgeting, envelope budgeting is something that you should give a try. Now, budgeting there really comes in two forms. I think of it as predictive and reactive budgeting. Predictive budgeting is when you sort of guess at what you're spending and you adjust your budget as you spend. And as the months go by, you sort of hone in and figure out what you're really spending in each of the various categories. Now, reactive spending is where you write down every last expense, and then from there you adjust your budget so that knowing where you start, it's a lot easier for you to plan how much should be in your grocery bill, how much should be in your eating out bill. Now, envelope budgeting, at least the way that I've seen it used, is a little mixture of both. So the idea behind envelope budgeting is that you get a bunch of envelopes, and each one you write down a spending category. So, you think of all the things that you spend money on and you put it into logical buckets. Not so many that it becomes onerous to manage, but not so few that you lose visibility into what you're spending your money on. So typically what I like to do is, in our budget, we have food broken up into groceries and eating out. We have envelope for entertainment, one for clothing, one for our fixed bills each month. So our mortgage and our electricity bill and our water bill and our cell phones, those are all in our little fixed bucket. And the idea is that your budget is the amount that you put inside each of the envelopes. So if you have $100 eating out budget, you put $100 into one of these envelopes, and as you spend it, you take the money out. Now, a lot of people like the envelope budgeting method because it forces you to go entirely cash. Because it's very difficult to manage credit cards and things like that with a series of envelopes. However, it is not impossible. And the reason I say this is all you need to do to incorporate a credit card into an envelope budget is just get an envelope for that credit card. What you'll do is, let's say I go out and we go get a hamburger and it's $5 at McDonald's. I'll take money out of the eating out envelope, take the $5 out, and I'll put it into an envelope that specifically is for that credit card. See, with that in mind, at the end of the month, I'm still technically cash, even though I floated a little bit on the credit card, but then I take all the money that was in this credit card envelope and I use it to pay off the debt. And then I recognize that this envelope for the credit cards isn't really part of my budget. It's merely a tool within the envelope budgeting paradigm that maintains order, so to speak. Envelope budgeting, a lot of people have used it with great success, and if you in the past have tried budgeting but really haven't gotten into it, you might want to give it a try. It's very simple. You need a couple envelopes. You don't need to use envelopes. People use it because it's easy to carry and it's conveniently sized. Some people use cups because it holds coins better. I mean, you can really use whatever you want, and it's fun because you don't have to track every penny. It's by its nature tracking every penny. You might need to go to the bank to get some extra $1 bills so it's easier for you to break things up. One other thing you should also try to incorporate is saving. So if you take what you do is so you'll cash your paycheck, then you take your money and you divvy it out into these various categories. You might want to have an envelope just for savings. Maybe you're saving for a vacation. Maybe you're saving for a family. Maybe you're saving for a new car. Maybe you're saving for your emergency fund. Whatever it is, you want to incorporate that in, and that forces you to take from your other envelopes. Now, one of the great powers in all this is that you can't go into debt, in theory, if you maintain envelopes, because you can never borrow anything. So what that means is if you get near the end of the month and one of your categories is empty, you're going to have to borrow from another category. You don't borrow from a credit card, you borrow from something that maybe you didn't spend as much. And as long as you're saving what your goals are, then it's really a win-win, right? I mean, if you spend less in groceries and you eat out more, as long as the total cost is the same, you've really won because you've maintained your spend within your income. And so therein lies the power. There are weaknesses to this model. It's kind of a pain to manage. I mean, it's easy in the sense that everything's all laid out and you don't have to record something down. But it's hard to carry envelopes. It's hard to remember what you spent where if you aren't carrying all these envelopes at the same time. So, you obviously have to tailor it to what works best for you. And finally, I've never personally used the envelope method, but many, many people have. And if you do a quick search online, I'm sure there are various hints and tips that you could use to incorporate. And hopefully, actually, if you're watching this and you do use the envelope method, or you have in the past, leave some tips, things that I might have left out. I know the aspect of saving, having an envelope for saving, is not something I would have intuitively thought of. I forget who told me, but someone who turned me on the idea of envelope budgeting said, one of the powers is in pay yourself first in that little envelope. So, let me know what you think. Always love the feedback that you guys give. And thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.